Hi there. Thought we would spend some time looking at those homework problems that we've done. So this is on page 208, and we were doing 8, 9, and 10, so I'm going to go over those here. For number 8, we are asked for the equation of the tangent line at x equals -1. So first things first, in order to find the equation of the tangent line, we've got to find the derivative because that's going to give us the slope of the tangent line. So I'm going to find the derivative here using the quotient rule. So you'll remember we talked about low d high minus high d low over low squared. So I'm going to play that out. So it's low, that's the function on the bottom, times the derivative of the top, d high, minus high, that's the function on the top, d low, that's the derivative of the bottom, all over low squared. So that's our quotient rule. Now we are looking for the slope at -1. So I'm going to plug in a -1 here. And remember, we're going to get the values for this from the chart that we have available. Oops, and I didn't type a -1 or write a -1 in there. So that's okay. All right, now let's go with the chart. We're looking at the row with -1. And be real intentional with your calculations because you don't want to make an error just when you get to the numerical values. So g of -1, we're told in the chart is 1, times 2 times f prime of -1, which is -2, minus 2 times f of -1, which is 3, times g prime of -1, which is 1, all over g of -1, which is 1, and we're squaring that. Okay, be real careful with the minus in the middle. Sometimes it's overlooked, but it is separating these two. So I've got -4 there, minus 6 over 1. It looks like the slope of my tangent line is -10. Now, in order to find the equation of a tangent line, we need a slope. There we go, we've got it. And we need a point. Now remember, we have that x equals -1, but we don't know what the function is. So let's go back to what we know the function to be, and let's find the y value. So now I know that h of -1, right, no derivative, just the function itself, 2 times f of -1 over g of -1. So f of -1 from our chart again is 3. So I've got 2 times 3 on the top. And g of -1 is 1. That means my y value is 6. All right, that means I have a slope of -10. We got that from the derivative. And I have a point at -1, 6. So very simply, I can write my equation of the tangent line. Okay, so I hope that helps with number 8 there. Let's take a look at number 9. Now, number 9 asks us what is the value of the derivative at 0. And again, we're given this function, j of x equals 3x plus cosine x all over f of x. So in order to do the derivative again, we are going to need to do the quotient rule. So let's do that. So I've got low, which would be f of x in this case, d high. Now watch when you do the derivative of the top, because of that plus, you're gonna have to put that in a parentheses. 3 plus cosine, derivative of cosine is negative sign, minus high, again, put that in a parentheses, d low, which would be f prime of x, all over, and we've got low squared. Okay, now let's put in, we were doing this at the value of 0, so we're going to put the zeros in there. Watch my trig functions at those values. Think about your unit circle. Sine of 0 is 0, minus, then 3 times 0 is 0, plus cosine of 0, which is 1. And I've got f prime of 0 there, all over f of 0 squared. Okay, now I can go to the chart for the derivative and the function value at this point. So I've got f of 0, which is -1, times 3, minus 1 times f prime of 0, which is 2, over, and then I've got f of 0, which is -1, and we're squaring that. So I've got -3 minus 2 over 1, which will give me -5. And this is what we were looking for. We were looking for j prime of 0 as our value that we were looking for. All right, friends, one more to go, just number 10. Now this one, on number 10, we're asked for the equation, we're asked for the slope of the normal line. So let's make sure in our notes that we have the slope of the normal line is the negative reciprocal of the slope of the tangent. That simply means we're going to flip it and change the sign. Now, why is that? It's because the tangent line is perpendicular to the normal line. The normal line is perpendicular to the tangent line. So in essence, what we're going to do here, we're going to take the derivative to find the slope of the tangent, and then we're going to flip it and change the sign. All right, let's work on that derivative first. So we're told that k of x is 4x plus f of x over 3 minus g of x. Okay, start with the derivative. Quotient rule again. Because the plus and the minus is in the numerator and the denominator, I'm going to have to use parentheses. So let's do low d high, and again that needs a parentheses, minus high d low. Oh, this one's tricky. You got negative g prime of x. Hope that didn't stump you on that one. All over 3 minus g of x squared. Okay, and we're doing this at -2, so we're plugging in -2 for our value. So I've got k prime of -2. All right, so I've got 3 minus g of -2, which I'm going to my chart. G of -2 is 2, times 4 plus f prime of -2, looking at my chart, is -1, minus 4 times -2, which is -8, plus f of -2, which is 1, times negative g prime of -2. So let's do first, g prime of -2 is 4, but we're making it negative, putting a -4. All over 3 minus g of -2. So g of -2 is 2. And we're squaring that. So be very intentional. If it helps you actually talk through those values, please do, okay? All right, now we've got to simplify this. So I've got k prime of 2. This is 1. This is 3 minus, then I've got -7 and -4, and this is over 1 squared, or just 1. Getting a little simpler each step. 3 minus 28, which would be -25. That is the slope of the tangent line. So the slope of the normal line is the opposite reciprocal. So change the sign, going to make it positive, and we're going to flip it. So the slope of my normal line would be 1/25. So I hope that helps with these homework problems.